Baltic Brand Talks, a podcast about all things creative and trending.
Dear friends, this is Baltic Brand Talks. My name is Andris Rubins. I'm CEO of Magic and also co-founder of Baltic Brand Forum. Today, I'm extremely proud to have Wael Jabi, I think that's the correct way to say it, who is currently the global head of marketing and communications for KitKat at Nestlé. The brand that shined really bright this spring with the KitKat Heist. I think the campaign or the project that started as a unexpected, unhappy event that was turned into a brilliant momentum. And Cannes Lions, the festival that is the most prestigious and the biggest competition globally, we can say the World Cup of advertising. KitKat also played a big role and received, I guess, while you wrote on your LinkedIn that that's historically the best year for KitKat. So first of all, great to have you. And how do you feel about achieving this fantastic milestone for you and for KitKat team?
It's been it's really cool to be in the spotlight, and it's surreal actually. I don't really believe that what happened. I guess what was more impressive to me than the Cannes Lions win was seeing the brand that we're working on turn into a cultural beam. You know, like in every brief that I've written over the past decade, I've been pushing the creatives to say, give me something that will go viral, right? There's always this fame. And somehow in the times when we least expected to go viral, we actually went viral. We really didn't think that this was going to be so strongly appreciated by our audiences and audiences that we don't target even. And it was just amazing, incredible.
And can you give us a little glimpse of, behind the scenes, like how and when did you get to know that, the truck in Poland has been robbed? And not just any truck, the truck full of KitKat, these F1 chocolate bars.
Yes. No, it's so it definitely wasn't my idea. It was a very smart colleague of mine named Oliver, who works for our regional team based out of Vevey in Switzerland. He manages the European KitKat business. And he was told by his supply team that a truck carrying very precious goods of KitKat Formula One products that left the Italian factory on its way to Poland disappeared. And it was a crisis because, as you can imagine, this product, I mean, our partnership with Formula One is doing fantastic. And what's very excited about this partnership is that we turned this partnership into a product innovation as well. And we made chocolate F1 looking products. And those are flying off the shelves. Customers are demanding more and more supply. And we were very much supply constrained on those products. So it was also ahead of April Easter break, where, as you can imagine, Easter is a huge
high
chocolate
season,
high season for chocolate. So you can imagine there was genuine concern, and so that's why it was raised to him very quickly and urgently that these were stolen, and we cannot just fill back that supply so quickly. And the discussions we had together was that let's turn this into an opportunity, and he came up with that, and I thought that was brilliant. And we discussed how we could do it in a formal but tongue-in-cheek way, using the break positioning of KitKat, but being really thoughtful about it. And we said, let's tell people that those chocolates were stolen, and then if it has any traction, then let's employ the world to help us hunt for those stolen chocolates.
So you could not forecast the resonance of this one announcement, which of course was still, I think, and part of success was that, I mean, of course it looked very real, but at the same time you kind of, in the world where everybody can, fake anything and play with things that are stunts and guerrilla marketing. So I think there was a lot of thinking: is it real? Can it be real? And if it's real, you know, what it really means, you know, to have this.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of probably it added more fuel to the fire, the fact that this was just before April Fools. And
Exactly,
anyways,
exactly.
there was a live brief with the creative agency of what should we do for April Fools as well at
So,
the same
so that
time,
brief
right?
never
That
could
brief
have.
died.
Yeah, quickly. Okay.
So the money we spent there just
Yeah.
wasted, and essentially we ended up with this phenomenon that really took the world by storm. It's amazing how many countries and different parts of life across the world picked it up. I mean, the most amazing thing was even in a police station in India picked it up and posted about that. I mean, just think about how far this went. It's amazing. It's just
Yeah.
really
Even
truly
here in
a meme.
Latvia, I think, you know, for a week, I think that was the topic of the week. You know, it's and it's not connected to, you know, Riga or Latvia anyway, but it was so interesting. Also, the local broadcasts and portals. So the next step you did, which again was, I think, this one of the smartest moves, how to engage people, because one thing is to, you know, to be pity or to have some empathy for KitKat or recognize your boldness to talk about it publicly, which most of the brands would try to probably hide it, you know, and just deal with police and other forces. So you put it out, but then you also created this platform. Can you shortly talk about you know, inviting people to help you to find the bad guys?
Yeah, I think this is where our agency team VML
Yeah.
came up with this stolen KitKat tracker. So we had obviously a batch code that are written on all our packs, and we identified the batch code that was stolen. We found that out through the supply chain teams, and we said, okay, they came up with the idea of finding this tracker, and it was interesting because we had a tracker that was using the filter on the camera, on the TikTok filter, so you
Hmm.
could. It's quite an engaging feature to use.
So you basically
Um,
go to the shop and you open your TikTok or you open camera.
Yes, exactly. And then you just scan. It scans the code, and then it immediately tells you whether you have a stolen product or a non-stolen product. And yeah,
So
as you
can
can
you share
imagine.
like how many people use the platform and was there any one stolen product found so far?
So there were thousands of actual use cases. Actually, it's beat all our metrics versus any other promotion we've done. So that was really quite interesting. So people were engaged into trying to find stolen KitKats, even though there's no real benefit to the person who found the KitKat. We didn't put a carrot in front of people. We just asked them
Mhm.
for help, and people were willing to help, and that was really cool. I think it's part of like a good citizens of humanity coming out to life. And I think I think what's interesting is that it did come up with leads, and as you may or may not know, but this is technically a true police crime. It's an ongoing police investigation.
Mhm.
So what we did was we shared that verified lead, because we verified it not only with the code that was scanned but also with photos.
Yeah.
So we passed on the contact details of this person to the police, and I think it's the German police that was leading the investigation.
Mm.
And they're continuing to figure out what that is. But I can imagine for the German police, this may not be on the highest priority order of all things going on with them. But it is
Unless
officially.
unless there's, you know, some big chocolate lover
Yes,
involved.
unless there's a bigger story behind it that we don't know about. But
So
you know,
the story is still kind of ongoing. Of course, I mean you can't predict
absolutely,
if it, you know, turns
absolutely.
into something else, but in a way it's
I,
still live.
I am craving the moment where we can bring closure to the story. It's still an ongoing problem, and we're very keen to post about it and talk to
Yeah.
people about
Yeah.
it. Shout out to Netflix in case they want to do a documentary later. I'm happy to engage. Uh,
Yeah.
but it is a wild story that we still haven't closed.
Yeah, I think these are those moments like, you know, good and bad, like pandemics or, you know, World Cup or, you know, stolen KitKat truck, where you kind of feel that the world is more united than we thought.
Yes, exactly. But
Just
what's interesting about this from a, I would say, industry perspective is actually stolen goods happen all the time. So it's not new,
yeah,
it's not
but
it's not a new
you
thing.
don't hear about it.
Exactly. You just don't hear about it. And because the companies shy away, they will just, try to
Mhm.
bury it. And I think we decided to take a different stance, and that's where the somehow the magic happened.
Yeah, I mean this is wonderful story and definitely one of my Cannes festival favorites this year. So once again, congrats on so many awards, but also on turning into phenomenal story and case study for KitKat. Can you share a little bit also how has it, if it has affected the sales and the business part? Do you already see kind of attraction? How the story and how this PR, success has turned into sales?
Yeah, look, we can't share specific details, but I'll tell you that it has definitely been a positive help for the brand. And I think even more important to that, we talk a lot internally about becoming an iconic brand for the next generation. And I'm sure that's on as an objective or an ambition for many brands around the world. Somehow, with the double whammy of KitKat getting into Formula One, KitKat being on live stream, on mainstream media, back in the world, if you want, we are now becoming a culturally relevant brand. And for me, that is the most powerful result of all of this. Is finally we are back on track to being a cool brand, and then we're getting people reaching out to us to be partners in collaborations where historically would not have, because they may have seen KitKat as a very old school brand, but
Mhm.
somehow now we're back into the mainstream, which is great, and that I think is the biggest achievement that you could have on a brand.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I think what you are doing now is Formula One, which is, I think, another way of putting KitKat into one of the, most iconic cultural, moments or events globally. Can you shortly talk about F1 partnership so far? I've seen some surprising, moments. The car itself made from the chocolate. Also, this kind of.
Yes,
I'm not
the
a big
billboards,
F1 expert, but the
the
billboards that
boards, yeah,
just
yeah,
look
yeah,
like a
the
KitKat.
side panels.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, we're having so much fun with this. There's a guy on my team called Vince who's leading this partnership, and he's brilliant, and he's been able to bring this partnership to life in so many different ways. I think we're just having so much fun with it, because you can imagine, right? How can you bring brakes? KitKat is all about brakes, and Formula One is all about speed. What's speed got to do with braking? Not physical
And
braking,
pit
but
stops you
taking a
can't
break.
really call breaks, right? It's like, a couple of
Yeah.
seconds, not
Yes.
enough.
Yes. Yeah, so we like to position it as, we're bringing brakes to the fastest sport in the world, but it is indeed it's a mental shortcut for people. When the car has a brake, KitKat owns that pit stop. That
Mm.
that is the brake that we were trying to associate ourselves with. That is the single, and I like to say this all the time. Our single biggest job on KitKat is to get people to associate brakes with our brand. And if we are able to do that, we can grow the business phenomenally, and that's what we've been trying
Mm.
to do over 90 years. So 2026 is the first official year of the partnership. So
Mhm.
we're across all the races, and we're trying to be as present as possible, and get into the zeitgeist of what's happening in
And
culture.
what has resonated the best so far from if you see the people reactions or an engagement in social media?
I mean, I think specifically for F1, it's all about, I think that, and this is probably also to the benefit of Formula One as an entity. Um, we have somehow given, or maybe I'm overclaiming, but I like to believe that the partnership between KitKat and Formula One has given more people access to a very prestigious sport, and it is very much historically been positioned as, a much older age group,
Sort of
much more
exclusive.
prestigious,
Yeah.
exactly,
Mhm.
exclusive event. I think with KitKat, we're helping them and helping ourselves also get into, driving penetration across, all
Mhm.
all types of people. all around the world. And I think, with the popularity of the brand, they're also benefiting big time on getting into the zeitgeist and into culture.
Has KitKat, done any other brand partnerships where you can, benefit from each other? Is it something that you've been doing a lot, or that's, a new experiments and new ways of working with the brand?
It is definitely new for KitKat because we new in the sense that it's the biggest global partnership we've ever created, in not only in KitKat, and I know you mentioned it about Cannes as well, but this is the biggest global partnership for Nestlé as a company, the KitKat Formula One partnership. So it is the biggest thing that we've ever done. And by the way, also, the awards that we won at Cannes is also not just the biggest awards year for KitKat, but it was also the biggest awards year for Nestlé as a company, as a whole. So those are massive, massive achievements on the brand. I think the partnership that we had before that, we did a partnership with Candy Crush. Didn't make the biggest splash ever with Formula One. I think what surprises the most with Formula One is how excited customers were. Talking about retailers. Not talking about consumers. How the retailers were so super engaged with us and giving us extra display space, and they were brainstorming with us on how we can make it bigger, and let's bring a car into the supermarkets and make this whole thing about it. And that was really, really powerful, because now all of a sudden, now we have momentum. Now everyone, all of a sudden, all the other brands within Nestlé, because you can imagine, we have many billion franc businesses here. All the level of the standard of excellence has just been increased so high, and everyone is pushing for that higher bar.
So you joined the KitKat brand team, I think 3-4 years ago now. And
almost 5 now.
And almost 5 years ago, and KitKat has achieved this historic, momentum and Cannes lights. Coincidence, or it's really also your kind of your ambition, your really willingness to kind of try different ways and push the brand. Like how much can you influence actually as a head of marketing, how the brand is moving forward, and how how easy or hard it is to persuade the management and leadership team to to take these new routes and bold moves.
Yeah, I think there's a combination of the reasons of the success on the brand. I think firstly and most importantly, there's sponsorship. So there's sponsorship at the highest level of the executive board to say, this is a brand that they recognize the brand, number one. And number two, they recognize that this brand has so much more potential than where it is today. And we were given the key to be able to do essentially what we want, to be able to strive for this fame that we're looking for. So we earned the trust from the team, from the executive board, to be able to do big things. And then we have a collection of our top 10 markets. For example, we came together, we put our heads together, and we said, we are bigger than the sum of our parts. And we need to, if we want to do big things, we have to do it together, and we have to pool our resources together to do big things. Otherwise, India can do something really cool, Canada can do something really cool, but if we bring all these countries together, we can do big things like Formula One partnerships. And that's when it ticked. That's when once the thinking was there, the execution is almost second nature, right? Because once you're principally aligned to that and you get all the resources supporting, then I think this is the easier part. I can't say it's easy, but it's definitely having that strong base really helped us. And I do think there's a factor of luck as well, of course, with the heist.
Yes, definitely. There's something you didn't predict, but
yes.
Overall, it feels like you.
No, we were intentional. We were definitely intentional about striving for excellence, and we have some great leaders in the organization who have supported this.
Also, coming back to KitKat brand, and I listened to your fantastic presentation in Most Contagious in London last December, where you, and together with the global strategist for VML, Joe Caputi, I love his name. You both presented also the KitKat story of this, timeless idea of having a break, which I think has celebrated 60 years anniversary as a slogan, which is just amazing and
Yeah.
almost unique. There's only, I think, 3 or 4 more iconic brand slogans that has survived this long. But then again, you also strive to have these very timely creative campaigns and activations, so that brand is not just living in history, it really kind of lives up to what the break means today and what are some of the problems with the breaks. But I really loved also your part of the story where you said that when you joined KitKat team, you didn't just start it from scratch, which many ambitious marketing people would do.
Yeah.
Everything that has been done, that's done. I'm
Let's move
here.
on.
Let's
Yeah.
build a
Yeah.
new thing. So you
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
you interviewed many of those previous, brand, founders and creatives and marketing people behind the brand, and so it really sounded that you, first of all, wanted to be very respectful about this consistency and history and legacy of the brand, and only then from there, build upon it. Can you once again a little bit share the story for those who were not in London?
Yeah, look, I think probably the premise is two things of why I did that. I think one is this is what I was taught when I worked at P&G, is all about respecting the foundations. I remember one of the first brands I worked on was Gillette,
All right.
and Gillette was founded by a guy called King C. Gillette. And it became a brand that is huge manufacturing was supported because of the World War, and they started supplying razor blades for the World War, for the army. Anyway, but the whole point was P&G taught me to respect the brand foundations, because that's going to tell you a lot about the future of the brand. And then the second premise is, I don't think I'm a very smart person. And if you don't think you're a smart person, what's the next thing? What's the next best thing is to lean on to others. And that's essentially what I did. So when I first joined the brand, there's clearly been a success. It's been a successful brand for so long, right? It's a brand that's born in 1935. It had been growing year on year, every year, nonstop. So clearly, somebody has cracked it. Somebody has understood what this brand's about. So I think this is, it should be a rule in all onboardings, that the first thing you do is to spend weeks trying to understand and dig up all these old documents, but also spend time genuinely getting deeper with people who have led the brand. Writing down the list of all the people who have led the brand before you, and knocking on their doors, finding time with them, spending time with them, calling them, and trying to understand what made them successful, and what made them fail in certain aspects of the brand, because it will definitely give you shortcuts to the future. It's very hard to come up with net new ideas. So most likely, if you have an idea, it's already been thought about before, and there's a reason why it didn't go through, or it did go through, and here's what happened to it. So I think it's just a hack that every brand builder should have, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk about how to build a distinctive brand, and one of the criteria, or one of the factors, is consistency. And often the consistency is broken not because the idea could not work for 10 more years. It's broken because somebody in marketing is fed up with this, or
Yes.
they decided together with the agency that let's do something fresh. And this is, and again, it's hard to to always know what is the best way, but definitely when you want to build a consistent an iconic brand, I think the approach that you always try to build on the legacy, not kind of experiment brutally and radically.
Yeah.
So I totally respect that, and I think that's what why KitKat stands out actually from many other chocolate brands, right? If you ask, like, I don't know, what is your biggest competitors about? I mean, it will not be an easy answer.
Yes, indeed, and I think this is fundamental, because I think people, especially brand teams, they need to be reminded that this famous line of, consumers don't give a shit about your brand. right? And
Exactly.
we really need to, and that's why consistency. You can't talk about consistency without talking about this other insight of consumers don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Those two truths go hand in hand.
Mm.
If you want consistency as a result of consumers not giving a shit, so you need to be consistent to be able to get into that brain where that person has spent, a day thinking about their mother who has cancer and their sister who's failing university and need to help them, and or whatever's going on in their lives. You need to be able to find a way in, and if you keep changing your message, you're just spend wasting tons of money.
Yeah, that's totally true, and I agree 100%. So tell me a little bit about the background of yours, because like we've talked about KitKat, and of course it is at the moment your most important brand. And I think you're doing really great, and I'll be happy to invite and have a global strategist for KitKat, Jao, to coming to this September to Baltic Brand Forum and share also his side of story to some of the most influential brands in the Baltics, but not only, also beyond Baltics. But you've done some work also before Nestle, and then previously 10 years in Procter and Gamble, and 1 year in agency. So maybe what is some of the highlights from those previous experiences where you also cracked a campaign or actually fucked up big time. So what's something that maybe also has helped you to become who you are today?
Okay, great question. Let's get into the history. I think historically, I've always been fascinated by advertising and marketing because I'm generally, I would say, more on the creative side than the business side. So I have a knack for, just being a little bit different. I think one thing my father told me is that if you want to become successful, you have to start in sales.
Hmm.
And so and you have to get into business management. So I studied business management and marketing specifically in Canada, and then was not very successful in finding a starting job. I think in Canada, so I moved back to Dubai because Dubai is where I grew up.
Hmm.
Spent most of my life in Dubai actually, and in Dubai it was pre
Yeah,
Dubai, if you
yeah.
want.
It was still
Be-
the
be-
desert.
exactly before Dubai was Dubai. I landed a job. An agency called Leo Burnett took a chance with me and gave me an opportunity, and that was the start of a beautiful story where essentially I discovered my love for advertising specifically.
Hmm.
And I think one of the biggest aha moments there was the challenge of getting creatives to work on your brief is not just because I have a brief to the creative team that they will just immediately work on it. No, it's like these people have egos. You
Hmm.
have to really, motivate them in many different ways. It's not just, they're still going to get their salary at the end of the month. They need to be creatively motivated. And that was really fascinating, being an account person and trying to get creatives to work on, at the time I was working on the Dubai government. And I was doing the branding for Dubai government, an entity for Dubai government, which was fascinating. But as you can imagine, not the most inspiring space. So that was my biggest learning, I would say, from that
Who
one year.
was the creative chairman at that time? Was it David Droga was around already there, or Michael
I was
Conrad?
it was so long ago. I have
Oh, right.
no idea. I would not be able to tell you that with
Oh,
confidence.
these two
Uh,
names, I mean, they both have been,
of course, of
global
course,
creative chairmans in Leo Burnett, and both are big,
of course.
big mentors of mine, or people I
Oh,
love to
really?
still follow, to this day.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Michael Conrad, he built Berlin School of Creative Leadership to help creative directors become CEOs, to become, true leaders of the companies, because he always believed that creative agency and creative industry companies have to be led by creative, people, not financial or managers. And yeah, and David Droga, of course, it's like one of the names still today, probably still the most awarded advertising man living, and also the whole story of building agency that joined forces with Accenture. So yeah, I mean, Leo Burnett definitely has produced some fantastic and phenomenal talent, and I wouldn't exclude you, man. And then from Leo Burnett,
I don't know if you want to put me on the same page as David,
I
but
mean,
yeah, thank you for
I
that.
would, but
Those are
and then
unreachable.
you spend only, I think, a year in the agency, and then the rest of the life you have spent let's say, on the client side, on the brand side, right?
Yes. Somehow I managed to get my foot into P&G. Obviously, I studied. I had many cases about P&G when I was studying marketing in Canada, and it has always been a dream job to be able to go to the school of brand building. And when I got this opportunity to get into P&G as I started as an assistant brand manager, it was a dream come true. It was really a genuine dream come true. And then working on Gillette. Can you imagine working on Gillette in Dubai? And we launched we launched Gillette Fusion. So the five-bladed razor was the first launch of Gillette Fusion in the Middle East. We did a super cool PR event where we got helicopters to come in and fly people in the middle of the desert. It was kind of like a James Bond style launch. It was really fun.
And you were what, 22,
Yeah,
25?
20, yeah, in my early 20s. And just, having a blast. And then on top, the P&G said, okay, there's potential in you. Let's send you off to the regional or global headquarters, depending which brand, in Geneva, Switzerland. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. So imagine for a 20-year-old to go to already as an expat. And I worked on the Pampers brand, and that was fascinating because that was a whole different dimension. It's a different category where you spend a lot of time doing consumer research. And when you talk to moms about their babies, I mean, you could not find a more passionate group of people to do consumer research with. They will talk for years.
Maybe F1 fans, another group, as passionate.
I don't know. And so I had the pleasure of being able to launch Pampers in new markets across sub-Saharan Africa. And that was a fascinating assignment as well, going to places like Nigeria and Kenya. And it's just, it was just phenomenal. And I think I learned a lot about how you do these point of market entry programs with Pampers, and think about bigger initiatives. We did the whole Pampers and UNICEF program where we're able to donate vaccines, life-saving vaccines, and eradicate multiple types of diseases. It's just a different type of marketing, if you want. And yeah, that was a massive, a great part of my life, I would say, managing the Pampers brand for Sub-Saharan Africa. And then moving back to Dubai, I worked on the Pampers brand, but for the Middle East. So a very totally different market than Sub-Saharan Africa. It was a huge profit center for the company, so a lot of pressure to deliver on the numbers. So very much focused on building the business, driving distribution. So advertising was not so central there because indeed Pampers is a global brand as well. So we were getting a lot of guidance from global as to what we should be doing. But I worked on a couple of local initiatives, some that failed. One where I was essentially blinded by the fact that we have a pricing issue in the market, and I did a whole campaign on pricing, which is the completely wrong thing to do.
Like talking about why the price is as high, or
yes, well, exactly, and or basically doing the fact that Pampers prices have reduced, and I did a whole campaign on that, the fact that we reduced our prices, and that didn't do anything for the business. If not, it probably hurt the business. So that was probably my biggest failure in my career. But it was not dissecting the problem properly. It jumped straight into a conclusive, and I probably hurt the equity. And so we were being beaten by a local competitor. But then soon after, they moved me back to Switzerland because they probably wanted to get rid of me in Dubai. And I joined the Braun team. So it was an electrical appliance, right, to shave for men, but also we had a lot of female hair removal business as well. So it's epilators and laser treatments that are at home So that was fascinating because I was focused on, and that's how I got to discover the Baltics as well.
Mm.
So I worked on the Baltics markets. I worked on Eastern Europe, Central Europe. I did expansion markets in Latin America and Asia. So that was slightly a global role, if you want. So that was fascinating. And then I as time passed, I realized as a marketeer, I was doing much more business stuff and doing less the creative stuff. And that's where, a box ticked,
Mm.
something ticked in my head. I said, I'm not doing what I passionately love, or at least what I think I'm probably better at.
Mm.
And so that started my journey of leaving P&G and finding a home, a place where I could, sharpen a different type of skill set.
Mm.
And that's when I joined Nestlé, and I joined specifically the team working on the digital platforms. So I was running the deals between Google and Nestlé, Meta and Nestlé, just overall, Pinterest,
Media
was
deals
man.
are also kind of the content, integration.
Yes, exactly. And so I was doing those big joint business plans and how
Mm.
we support each other there. So it was really cool because that's where consumers are today. So
Mm.
I was able to really understand each aspect of the platforms, and it just made me feel really stupid because everything I was doing in terms of marketing was probably wrong
Big
or not.
film,
Yes,
big outdoor.
exactly, exactly. Which they have a role to play, but there's
Sure.
clearly much more to do.
Mm.
And then after that, after spending 3 years doing that, which was a fascinating assignment, I got the chance to work on KitKat. And that's when,
Mm.
I was able to apply a lot of the learnings I've had in P&G
Mm.
and Nestlé's first job into this beautiful brand.
And have you also, like, there are many brands who are kind of, having either in-house agencies or they fully rely on external agencies, and there are different hybrid models. So what's your approach? Where do you see the best, kind of most efficient way to create those, campaigns and brand activations?
So I recognize that probably every company is different. Every brand has a different stage of
Mm.
development. Genuinely, I think for us, what we saw is that a mixture of the two
Mm.
can be very, very powerful. I think you need a very strong strategic agency that can help challenge your thinking on a day-to-day basis, and that's the role that I see with VML.
Mm.
Um, they also have a very important role because they are the agency of records for the brand, so they have ownership of the brand at a local level as well. So whilst I'm in the global level, they're able to access
What do you mean
between the.
ownership? Are they kind of shareholders of the company,
No,
or
no.
they've been working for many years and has kind of the experience?
I mean, it's interesting. It's a good question because actually in 1935, Roundtrees, which is the company that owned the KitKat brand, worked with J. Walter Thompson, which is an advertising agency.
Yeah.
J. Walter Thompson eventually merged with Wonderman and became Wonderman Thompson. Wonderman Thompson evolved into VML. So
All
we
right.
have had the same agency on KitKat
Since
since
the
since the
first.
day the brand was born. Actually, before the brand was called KitKat, it was called Roundtree's Chocolate Crisp, and it was launched in
Slightly
1930.
longer, yeah, but
Yes. So in 1935, Roundtree's Chocolate Crisp was using JWT. In 1937, it turned into KitKat. And anyways, the point I'm saying is that they are very much owners of the brand as much as we are owners of the brand because they have so much legacy and
yeah,
history with the
yeah.
brand. And I think it's really important to cherish that, and that's what I felt coming into the brand. It's like, oh wow, these guys clearly have as much knowledge on the brand
Mm.
than the person who used to be the head of KitKat on the Nestle side.
Mm.
So you need to respect those that history, and that's essentially what I'm saying is when I say they have remit for the global business on KitKat, but they also at a local level
Mm.
are embedded into the Nestle local teams, and through that partnership between local and global, we're able to amplify the creative power.
Mm.
Because just imagine all these markets that are running work on KitKat are all running mostly using the same agency and then all running on the same creative platform, which is Have a Break, Have a KitKat. So the ideas are just amplified by 10, right? Or
Yeah.
by 100. And that's the power of having that creative scale, I like to call it.
So in 8 years and 8.5 years, there will be 100 years anniversary party of client
Exactly.
and agency partnership, which is
If you
quite unique. Quite unique.
Yes, if you have an idea on how I should celebrate, please let me know.
Yeah, I mean, we got some time here. Well, actually, we like I think longest partnership like the Magic the creative agency I'm managing. We had I think 27 years of partnership with Circle K, which was Statoil, also the regional fuel retailer. And not everybody
That's
was
incredible.
happy about it because even in the company, some of the leadership team and procurement team was questioning. Kind of strange. This long relationship, there's something must be going on there. So, and of course, like there was never anything involved, but like not every company really appreciates actually these type of relationships. Even though, I fully agree. The more experienced we are as a team, as a team who have learned and from mistakes and success, I think it's definitely something we should respect them and appreciate more. But not every company does it, and not
Yeah.
every procurement understands that it can be purely because it makes a lot of sense, and it can make also the collaboration much more efficient if you are not for the first or the second year.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think the way I see it is the easiest thing you can do is when you join a brand is to do a pitch.
Yeah,
Easiest thing. It's the
yeah.
easiest thing to do.
Just to
Be-
shake your agency as well. I mean,
yeah.
maybe they're a bit sleepy, here.
Yes, 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 exactly. And I see value in pitches, but at the same time, uh, you, just ignoring that wealth of information that has culminated over those, as you say, 27 years in your case, uh, it's just a shame. It's a shame to just lose that so quickly. So it's the harder thing to do is to work on the relationship, find out what's not working, and
Mm,
work on those and try to understand what is it, what is the key driver. And of course, if in the end there's really fundamental problems and they don't have the talent, and yes, sure,
sure, sure.
you're going to have to move,
Mm,
right? In the end, the business needs to grow. So if the agency is not able to deliver on that, you need to do things. But
mm,
you have to give them a proper chance to get it right, because clearly they've been doing it. They were doing it right at some point in this multi-year relationship.
mm. Regarding the new technologies and artificial intelligence and different automation tools, is there something that you like in KitKat team or within Nestlé that you really kind of use a lot, or is there something that you would actually avoid, embracing, especially when it comes to AI, in the campaigns? And we've seen some of the success stories. We've seen some of the campaigns that actually have been even, taken out from media because of the reactions, which were not very positive. Like where you kind of how do you approach the AI and other tools?
Yeah, yeah. I think, look, just like any other tool that comes to life, I think you need to play with it. You need to discover
Mm,
it. You need to understand the limitations of it. I think we have at Nestle, we have legal and ethical restrictions on AI. Those rules will evolve over time. I see, for example, the current use case that I have now is, especially in creative development, is animatics is the most obvious one, where
mm,
we're able to, put out really quickly strong animatics to put into testing with our research agency partners. Um, I see, we also made fun of AI publicly through the fact that AI needs a break. I think there was an interesting point in time when if you told AI when you were chatting with AI,
yeah,
like a chatbot, to have a break and think about it a little bit deeper, they would get you a better outcome. And so we played on that as KitKat. I remember it was it was a really fun
yeah.
campaign that the Canadian team worked on. So AI needs a break as well, right? So very much on brand. But I think to answer your question, I think it's something that's constantly evolving week after week. I mean, like my answer now would be very different to probably my answer
Mm,
next week. Where I see this happening today is really is driving that efficiency and being able to drive scale. But I think that again, as we heard at Cannes this year, time and time again, human potential is human potential. In the end, we need to convince humans.
yeah.
You know, uh, to some degree, yes, we need to convince AI, at least in the search engines. But I think the craft still needs to be there, and the craft needs to come from genuine human creativity.
Other topics that especially kind of you liked this year in Cannes, like some specific speakers or cases that you were inspired or really made you think?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a long week.
Yeah,
Hard to digest, I guess, afterwards.
It's funny because I'm in the middle of preparing my summary for Cannes next
All
week
right.
to the whole organization. So I have so many cases that
No, just pick one.
has come.
Just let's say pick one.
I think I think one of the most interesting ones was, and Heineken did a great job this year at Cannes. It was completely different, out of scope for me, and it's not a B2C opportunity. It was a B2B opportunity that they saw in basically what they did. I think it was in Spain. They were able to. I think the challenge was, the insight that they found was that local pubs or local bars were not getting the benefits of these big franchise bars. Franchise bars get lots of benefits, right? They get scaled marketing, they get scaled merchandising, they get scaled deals on Heineken products. And Heineken found a really creative route to be able to get all the local pubs together and scale their marketing and scale their merchandising.
27 people became founders or co-owners, shareholders of the bar.
I thought that was just brilliant.
It's fantastic.
Brilliant. And it's a win-win for everybody. And it was
then
just
they made a roadshow to other cities, other villages, kind of inspiring other, people, other cities to do the same. Yeah, I agree. Very inspiring.
It was really, really well done.
Yeah.
And there were so many other cases. But yeah.
Before we end, and I respect your time, so only 3 questions we ask every podcast guest, so you can't be exception here. So the first one, which other brands do you admire and why is that? Maybe just one brand besides KitKat, of course.
So many brands that I admire. I think Guinness. Guinness is a fantastic brand. They found a way to become culturally relevant again, despite being again a historic brand. I think that's where I find a lot of respect for brands that are extremely old but somehow find a way to renew themselves.
And again, there's a lot of consistency and dispstinctiveness, even in the shape of the product.
Exactly. I think they probably now have to think about the 0% trend, and I'm not sure where they are there, but it is definitely.
I think the brand is bigger than percentage of the alcohol.
Exactly. Maybe that's the right thing to do, is just to stick to that. Yeah.
The second one, like, where do you get inspired? Like, where is your source of creativity for you? Like, is it books? Is it a podcast? Is it walks in the forest? Like, where?
This may sound really cheesy, but I get a lot of inspiration from my children. They are young. They are naive in a sense. They're so innocent. And when you see something that inspires them or gets them excited, you think, okay, actually, there's something there. That's one way of doing it. But indeed, going to places like Cannes and getting inspired by real concrete things as well is super powerful. And there's just people from all walks of life that you bump into that inspire you. I think being really in touch with everyday people and just people outside our industry is really the main source of inspiration, because that's the end who we need to talk to. So if we get too lost in our marketing bubble, it becomes very dangerous.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, too many meetings, too many PowerPoints, too many Excel sheets, not enough, real communities with real,
no
challenges.
Marketing jargon. Yes, kill the marketing jargon.
And that's where I think kids perfectly fit in, because they don't understand the jargon, and they, if you can, tell something that makes them, react, that's probably, also helps us to uncomplicate.
Exactly.
and get
Keep
back
it simple, guys.
Yeah. So, in the last one, easiest, what's your moonshot goal? So what would ultimate success for you look like? It can be professional, it can be personal. So that's something.
Again, going back to my children, they're nagging me to be the hero in a KitKat ad. So if there's one thing I need to do before I leave is to convince my creatives to use me as the main cast for the next
Okay.
KitKat ad. If I manage to do that, I'm done. I will retire.
Sounds like an easy task to me,
Yeah.
but I mean, just remember the CEO of Oatly. He is a very introvert guy, and Oatly marketing team always wanted him to be the face of the campaign, and so he resisted I think for 10 years, but now he is. I mean, and they had the campaign idea for him where we had to perform a song, but which was not his song. So what he did, just night before the shooting, he recorded, so he composed his own song, because then he thought, okay, if they want me, then it will be fully me with my
Wow.
music, my lyrics. And he's not the most talented singer, but that was fine for Oatly, which is all about also,
Wow.
there's no bullshit and transparency.
Yeah.
But that was his song. So in a case, it can be, and it was a very successful campaign because people love to see those, people behind the brands as well.
Inshallah, one day.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Wael. It was a real pleasure. A lot of fantastic advice from your side and experience, and tips and tricks and behind the scenes, which I think will be one of the most listened episode of all time for Baltic Brand Talk. So really appreciate your time, and it's an honor to have you for the whole hour.
Big thanks and big love to the people in the Baltics. Love that place.
Yes. So thank you, listeners. Thank you, Wael. And of course, we meet soon in other episodes. And most importantly, we meet in person in September 24 and 25th when the annual Baltic Brand Gathering will happen in Riga Circus. So can't wait for many more fantastic conversations and keynotes joining us in Riga and here in podcast as well. So thank you and see you soon.